We're going to call the Scott County Board of Commissioners for February 4th meeting to order. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your patience, everyone. Getting a little bit of a late start today. We earlier, before this meeting, met in a workshop setting with the Minnesota Department of Human Services to receive information on the refugee relocation program, and we believe, I'm looking to my left, that we're going to have the presentation linked to our website, so please take a look at that. Item number 2, amendments to the agenda. I'm not seeing any amendments to the agenda, so that will stand as distributed. Number 3, approve the minutes of the January 21st, 2020 County Board meeting. We've had that distributed as well. Any changes?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes of that January 21st meeting? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 4, recognition of interested citizens, limited to items not on the agenda and 5 minutes per person or subject. Please approach if you would like to.
Morning.
How are you this fine day?
Hey, I'm very good. Let's see if we can get this dialed in for me. Appreciate that. You guys are always really good about that. So I can start for 5 minutes. Get this centered. You guys can all see that?
Yes.
So I've been coming, obviously, as you guys all know, ladies and gentlemen, a man is never a person. I've been trying to talk about a deception, okay? And man is created by God, and a person is created by the state. Yet I've discovered that the lawyers, when you go into court, deem, D-E-E-M, deem a man to be a person. And deem actually means to take something that you know to be false and treat it as if it's true. It's actually a nice kind of a way to state a lie. It's absolutely a lie. So what I found out here is this board has said, hey, John, we don't know what to do. We don't know if we have any authority. Well, you do have authority. You have the power of the purse. You actually can fund the county attorney's office, you found the county sheriff's office, and if they're deeming, taking things that you know to be true and treating as if it's false, you actually have some authority to do that. Do we lie? Do we not lie? So I just watched you a moment ago, and I've seen you guys all take an oath, saying that you're going to uphold the law, and you all just took a pledge. And on that pledge, you said, hey, we're one nation under God, and liberty and justice for all. And I didn't hear you say liberty and justice for all except John Miser. And God's 9th commandment is, you shall not bear false witness. You shall not deem something that you know to be true and treat it as if it's false. So on the 7th of January, I made a presentation to you all, and I showed you when I was in court right there, they said that I failed to appear while I'm standing right there. They deemed me not to be there when I'm standing right there. They took something that they knew to be true and treated it as if it was false. Here's a transcript. In that transcript, it says right there, John Thomas Miser Jr. appearing in the identity of the person. It shows that I'm there. Yet, there's the court record, and it says, I'm not there. So here at the county meeting, after I got done on the 7th, and I presented, the county attorney said this.
Debate here in front of the county board because it's really not your business. It's a business with the court and the prosecutor's office. Well, what Mr. Miser represented to you is a completely inaccurate and not complete rendition of what happened in court that day. He was deemed not to be present in court because he refused to answer the judge's questions. He was given ample opportunity by the court, by Judge Ra, to answer the judge's questions. He refused and continued to engage in the same type of conversations that he's had with this board. Eventually, Judge Ra told Mr. Miser that if he doesn't answer the questions, he will be deemed to be not present in court, and she would enter a fine and certify the conviction. He was given that opportunity numerous times. He refused to avail himself of those opportunities, and the judge finally deemed him to be not present because he refused to answer her questions, and she took the action that she took. So that is what happened in court that day.
So to sum up his words, there's my presentation, if I can get that back on there. He basically said that it's okay to lie and say you're not there when you are there. And then he also said he mischaracterized my words, and so today I brought a copy of the transcript so that you, if you guys want to take a look at it, you can actually look and see what my words were that I used in court, because I was responsive, I did answer the questions. I spoke truthfully, and I was told that I spoke untruthfully. I was deemed to be a liar, and that's not right. I then went to the sheriff's department and thought, okay, I can get some help from the sheriff's department. I made a complaint, and the sheriff said, hey, John, I'm sorry, you have insufficient evidence. You don't have enough evidence. Yet I gave him all the evidence. I have over a half a dozen witnesses that saw me there. I have court records, I have court this, but you guys fund these two departments. So if you remember, I went to court with one thing. I went to go prove and challenge the prosecutor's belief that I'm a person. Not that I'm deemed a person, but I am a person. Here's Words and Phrases, a book published by lawyers on every court case since 1658 to present. Not once do they say a man or a woman is a person. They say the unborn's not a person. A fetus isn't a person. A law enforcement officer isn't a person. A telephone customer isn't a person. A county commissioner isn't a person. Yet they still say I'm a person.
I forgot to give you the 1 minute. We're at 5 minutes.
Okay, I got one slide then if I may, if I can wrap that up. So you guys have the power of the purse. Thanks, David, I'm sorry about that. So will you guys use your power? You guys actually have the power to fund it. And right here, will you hear me? Will you not hear me? Is it time for me just to shake the dust off my feet and walk? That's what God tells me. So if you're interested, here's the information, all the evidence I'd like to leave with you. And Dave, you said you're interested in words. I got Words and Phrases, 200 pages. Not once do they say a man or a woman is a person on judicial cases. I'd lend you this book if you'd like to use it, and I'll come and pick it back up. Would you like it?
Why not?
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That's good.
All right, any other interested citizens? I'm looking at maybe 2 or 3. 2 and 3.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners.
morning.
Lisa Koner, Public Affairs Coordinator here, and today I would like to introduce all of you
Oh, I don't, is she
to,
on camera? Or is it just?
you can see my
Got
hand.
it, got it, got it, got it. Yeah, we want to make sure we're getting proper credit here.
There we go.
I'm assuming she is.
And Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, you had the opportunity to meet these two last week, and I believe at least one of them has a long-established friendship with Commissioner Beard. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves, talk a little bit about themselves and what they're doing with us for the next 7 weeks.
Not sure we want to overstate that, Mr. Chairman.
Hi, I'm Allie Tetzloff. We are a part of the Shakopee Caps. We're a part of the Shakopee Caps. We are both juniors at the Shakopee High School. We are going to be here for the next 7 weeks doing an internship with the social media.
Yeah, my name is Sophia, and my last name is Yegorova, and yeah, like Ali said, we're juniors. I'm part of the Arts and Communication Academy, and yeah, we're here with the CAPS program.
Looking forward to this, big time, big time. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Ally, I did find the picture. I can't believe it was 4 years ago already.
Wow, that feels like a long time
If you're going
ago.
to stick around, I'll show it to you after.
Woo, I'll be
Wait,
here.
we might have to post it, social
Yeah, you might
media.
have to, throw back.
She'll probably want to snap it, but that's a whole nother story.
Or delete it, one
I
or the
mean,
other.
we just
but
made an Instagram this morning. To go follow that.
Future Leaders Program, Future Leaders, yeah, she was one of the
Oh,
future
it's
leaders.
all funny. It's
Way
awesome.
back in 8th grade, now I'm a junior, so long time ago.
So what's their tagline going to be? Do we know? Social Sisters, Insta Sisters?
Insta Sisters. That was perfect. It has a good ring to it
All
too.
right, I like it. Just curious. Well, we'll try to give you some good content to work with for
Thank you, we
the Scott
appreciate
County website and, not the website, social media.
There you go. Look at that.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right, any other interested citizens? I'm not seeing anyone approach. So with that, we're going to move on to item number 5, which is the consent agenda. These will all pass in one motion, have been vetted by staff ahead of time. 5.1. excuse me, approve amendment number 2 to Minnesota Department of Health and Human Services grant number 133786 to deliver mental health crisis services. 5.2, adopt resolution number 2020-020, awarding a contract to Landwehr Construction, Inc. for a bridge replacement project on County Highway 15, bridge number 70502 in Helena Township. 5.3, adopt resolution number 2020-022, authorizing final payment to Minnesota Native Landscapes, Inc. in the amount of $1,000 for the Sand Creek Near Channel Sediment Reduction Phase 2 project in Sand Creek Township. 5.4, adopt resolution number 2020-023, authorizing entering into Minnesota Department of Transportation grant agreement number 1032829 for the bridge replacement project on County Highway 15, bridge number 70502 in Helena Township. 5.5, adopt resolution number 2020-021, authorizing entering into a cooperative agreement with Three Rivers Park District for installation of fencing around the Cedar Lake Farm Regional Park Maintenance Compound. 5.6, approve payroll processing personnel actions. That is the items we have on the consent agenda. Are there any items we'd like pulled for
Mr.
discussion?
Chair, I will make a motion to approve those 6 items on consent.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on consent? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are to 6.1, presentation of the 2019 fourth quarter Spirit of Scott Awards, and Greg is here to tell us all about it.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. As indicated, the reason I'm here today is for the Quarter 4 2019 Spirit of Scott Awards. As you know, this is a program that recognizes county staff who go above and beyond their typical job duties to help our customers and others in our county. So the 3 individuals that were chosen in Quarter 4, first Kathy Shanks, their picture on the left. She was nominated by Jeff Peichel. Kathy had identified a fraudulent request which seemed to come from a known supplier asking for banking and payment information. Through Kathy's efforts, she prevented an $18,000 transaction from being delivered into the wrong hands. Kathy has a history of catching and reporting these types of transactions, keeping the county financial assets protected. Her knowledge and attention to detail is a great asset to the county, and she exhibits behavior that we strive to achieve through our security awareness training. So great job, Kathy. Second, in the middle there, Vicki Bonrud, library, was nominated by Jacob Grussing. Vicki is the go-to person for ancestry questions, and she helped a woman who had never met her father get in touch with an uncle, see a picture of her father for the first time, and visit the grave of her great-grandparents. This customer and her husband met with her father's brother in Belle Plaine, and he brought along photos of the father, including his obituary photo. This customer saw her father that day for the first time ever. She looks forward to anything else that Vicki can find and looks forward to an ongoing relationship with her new family. She's thankful for the library to help her find the truth and getting to meet her new family. Thank you to Vicki for that role that she's playing and doing exceptional life-changing work. On the right is Callie Rose in Children's Services. Callie was nominated twice. Tricia Menschke nominated Callie for going above and beyond her regular work duties to gain the support of Child Protection Family she is working with to allow a worker from Sweden to shadow her signs of safety practices. This offered colleagues from Sweden a rich opportunity to see the county's signs of safety practices firsthand. And secondly, Julie Swanson nominated Callie. There's a family that periodically is involved in child protection that for many reasons leads to very difficult work. A new report came in that the county needed to respond to, and even though Callie was not in line to get an assignment, she volunteered to respond to this assessment. She did this because she completed the last assessment approximately 2 months previous with that family and recognized that it would be best for those children to be interviewed by someone they had met before. Callie, it was really nice of you to consider what was best for the children, knowing how difficult the rest of the work will be with the adults. So thank you to Callie and to all the nominees. Vicki and others here, they work off-site, so they weren't able to be here today, but we wanted to congratulate them in front of the board for their good work.
Good deal.
Awesome, thank you very much. It's a huge, I mean, we've got some really, really good people here at the county, and I think that people need to know that, so thank you guys very much. So, and no one's here? No balloons, no? Well, we're gonna still give them a little. Thank you, Greg, for that presentation. Moving on to, wow, we're moving through here. Item number 7, committee reports and commissioner updates. I'm gonna look down to my right to, all the way down to the far chair to the right. The
Thank
pole
you.
position.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to follow up on the Spirit of Scott Awards, I was able to go out and give Vicki her award. She works at the New Prague Library, and it was fun to surprise her there with that. And I think it's really important to remember that this committee receives like hundreds of nominations.
Right,
Every
yeah.
quarter, our staff is doing a lot of great, interesting things. People like to think that public employees just do their job, but they're doing their job plus so much more. So great examples. January 22nd, I participated in the NACO Human Services and Education Committee conference call, mostly legislative update items and update on some federal funding initiatives. January 23rd, I attended the Shakopee Chamber of Commerce annual meeting. Good annual meeting. It's just wonderful to see how much the Shakopee Chamber's grown. Really includes businesses of all sizes from all over the community and beyond. January 27th had our Metro Alliance for Healthy Families board meeting. That, of course, is the alliance of counties where we work together on public home visiting. Had some new commissioners on that committee, so it was good to see that change a little bit. Also on January 27th, I, along with many of my colleagues, attended the celebration for Chairman Charlie Vig. Wonderful to recognize him for his years of service and the cooperation between the Shakopee Midwakaton community and Scott County. And then that evening, the Elko New Market and CDA joint workshop that was very productive, I think. Mm-hmm. January 28th, I attended the Scott County breakfast with our legislative delegation. Good to talk through our platform with those folks. Later that day, I met with Deanne Croat, who's our CDA representative from District 1, to talk a little bit more about the CDA and economic development. And then later that day, we had the county and courts policy meeting, where we got a really nice update on the Veterans Court initiative, how that's going, and the timeline. So that was good. January 29th, I presented to 4 different classes about Future Leaders Day at Shakopee Junior High West. January 30th, I had a meeting with Pam Selvig and Suzanne Arnson about the We Can Committee, and got some updates about the progress that group's making and good work that's happening already. And then that evening, I attended the convening held by Beacon Interfaith Collaborative at Shepherd Lake Lutheran Church in Prior Lake. Very well attended and good workshop, a good evening. And then this morning, of course, the refugee workshop. I think that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the 21st, Prior Lake City had their bi-monthly meeting there, and in their workshop, they talked about engineers and their cost in finding different ones. Also, they're talking about doing a different type of food program at there's a little building there. They're talking about maybe getting some food vendor in there and providing food for people that go to the park there. And then they also talked about some of the downtown aesthetics for 13 and 21. On the 22nd, Metropolitan Mosquito Control met. Also met with some staff folks here about the mural that they're going to put into the new building. That's going very well. I think we're going to put that into the Scott County scene to get people to kind of put out bids and ideas on what is going to happen there. On the 23rd, Vermilion River Joint Powers Board. That night, the Elko New Market City Council met. On the 27th, met with the administrator. Also was out for as Commissioner Brecky had mentioned, for Charlie Vig, his kind of retirement party there. The WMO met that night, but they did not have a quorum, so they did not meet that night. And then the Elko New Market Scott County CDA County Board meeting was that evening. I thought that went very well, and the counselors, the mayor, they were all just very happy that we took the time to do that and hopefully get something going out there. They really would like to see some sort of help, and hopefully we can do that. Then we had the legislative breakfast on the 28th. I thought that went very well. Met with Senator Eric Pratt about the McMahon Lake and some of the costs and some of the things that need to be done there so that he can lobby for that in the upcoming legislative session. On the 3rd, had a meeting with some Scott County Highway staff here, Leslie, Tony Winicki, Joe Witta. Met with Cedar Lake Township and New Market Township. They're having a tough time getting people to plow their gravel roads on a consistent basis, and so they're going to kind of brainstorm and maybe see if we can't help them out on the county side somehow or another. Of course, they would pay for it. So, then Prior Lake City met last night. And they talked about one thing in particular. I got there a little late because of the snow plowing deal, but they talked about the 21 and Revere it's not interchange, but intersection. And they really would like to see some improvements there. They believe there's some commercial development that would absolutely come in there very quickly in the short term if we could make some changes there. So we'll be talking about that here in the next few weeks. Credit River met last night. They had a very short meeting. Cedar Lake also met, short meeting. And then this morning, the refugee board meeting. So that's my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Vice Chair Ulrich.
Okay, on the 23rd, I attended the monthly meeting with the Savage Mayor and the Administrator. The 27th, Greater MSP, and I'm been appointed to this task force on economic development, so I'm interviewing 10 leaders in economic development in our county. It's going to be an educational process for me, and it'll be fun to report back to Greater MSP the results of my interviewing. It's people like Gary Shelton, Barry Stock, Stacy Crakes. You can just name the key people in regard to economic development. So I'll also put that together for the board too. What the results of that kind of survey was. 27th joint meeting with the CDA. Thought that went well. Also the retirement gathering for Charlie Vig. 28th, the legislative breakfast and the Unified Transit Management project we're working on. The 29th, MVTA board, Luther Winder's performance review was conducted. We're extremely happy with his work. He's been doing great, and he's really well received in the region, and he does a great job with the legislature for MVTA. On the 30th, the 169 Corridor Coalition. We're interested in building the coalition to the north with cities like Edina and Bloomington and Golden Valley and St. Louis Park and Minneapolis even. They have a good reason to be part of the coalition now because of the study of MinPass and BRT that would go from Scott County to Highway 55 and then into downtown Minneapolis. Obviously, that's way off into the future, but if we ever were going to get additional lane on 169, it would probably come through a MinPass BRT combined lane. And as you look at the 35W that has MinPass lane as you're going north, it says general traffic is accepted in that lane anything but 6 to 10 in the morning. So you basically have 20 hours of general purpose lane. So that's the kind of thing we could expect if MinPass and BRT were time to leverage additional lane, that it would, going one way it would be unavailable, just a MinPass lane and BRT for 4 hours going north and 4 hours going south at the different rush hours. So we really would gain a full lane for something like 20 hours. So that's what I hope would be the long-term scenario there. 31st, Chair, Vice Chair, February 3rd, Morris Miller Award. I went to the city of Savage. We sort of had a redo or do again the recognition of the the Savage police officers that were involved in the life-saving event. I thought it was really special. It was really great. It's good to do it here, but I thought it was even better to do it in the city, and I got to participate, you know, a little bit, just handing out. I didn't say anything, but Luke did a fabulous job, and I think it was great for us to be out there in the city of Savage, recognizing them in their own city. They got thunderous applause, as they should have, and well deserved. So that was fun. That's it in my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Beard.
Mr. Chair, I'm just glad to be back where it's snowy and cold, and I missed all of you. One clarification, my visit to the Pinal County Courthouse, the commissioners don't really wear guns and wave them like that in the picture. That was a sort of a staged deal. I'm sure you all got that, but just in case.
Shoot, pun
That was
intended.
real.
And, Mr. Chairman, I just want to express appreciation for the workshop this morning and for the light that was shed and the ability to ask questions that were designed to shed further light on the whole refugee situation, that question and the, although many of us think it was kind of, it put us in an awkward spot, I appreciate as someone in Washington at least thinking of us and saying, what do you guys think? And letting us consider the situation and actually vet what we're up against here and how things are working. So that's my report, and I'm just glad to be home.
Thank you. Happy to have you back. Excuse me, on the 21st, as was mentioned, I, along with Commissioner Wolf, attended the Prior Lake City Workshop and City Council meeting where streetscaping was kind of a high point of that discussion, trying to finish how they want to finish out the 21 and 13 project. On the 27th, again, was mentioned, celebrating Chairman Vig, his retirement. And I just thought that was a beautiful picture of the city of Shakopee, city of Prior Lake, the county, with still then Chairman Vig, kind of a testimony of, hey, we can have hard discussions and have a little tension without it being tense, but having mutual respect. I just thought that was a beautiful picture of what can happen as cities are growing, tribes growing, and we're all in the same soup, so let's figure it out. So I'm looking forward to days ahead. The 27th, joint workshop with the Elko New Market folks and the CDA, as was mentioned. I thought that was very informative. That's an area of the 35 and 2 with increasing the commercial capacity of the county would help our residential taxpayers. 28th, this is all old news, of course, but breakfast with our legislators. I'm very grateful that we have a pretty good relationship with most of those folks, and I think they all showed. Some had to leave early for meetings, but they typically always answer the phone when we call and have questions and have one-off meetings, because I'd really like to find out, and I guess that's Claire's going to be her next looking for, to figure out which ones they're really willing to fight for in St. Paul. Figure out what those priorities really are. 29th, it was time for the Farmer-Led Council, which is part of the Prior Lake Spring Lake watershed in the Scott Soil and Water Conservation District. This is a meeting where farmers are saying, hey, how can we help improve water quality downstream, which is interesting because, you know, since we're south of the Laurentian Divide, water flows south, but in this case, the upper watershed is south, so it's eventually obviously flows south, but things flow north from there, and trying to figure out how do we keep the sediment out of this water? How do we go upstream? And farmers and landowners, because they're not always the same person, saying, hey, how can we jump in? It just seemed to me to be a great mixture of, hey, how does government step in with citizenship and do the right thing? It's just plus it's at the VFW and they have an excellent lunch. I'm just mentioning that for my...
Hey, okay, I'll write it down.
Can't beat that chicken, it's really good. On the 31st, it was really good. Mashed potatoes and gravy is so good. That's just a small part why the meeting was good. 31st, chair, vice chair. Also later on the 31st, in between meetings, tried to squeeze in the SMSC inauguration. Was not there very long, but just wanted to pay my respects for the new business council that was seated on the 31st. 2-3, I guess that was yesterday, went to St. Paul for the unsheltered homelessness, and I'm looking, I felt safe, that's all I'm gonna say. I felt safe at that meeting, looking at Daniela's little story there. And then today, earlier, I too was very grateful that We had the opportunity to have a very public, they're always public, but meeting with having the state come down and tell us what's fact and fiction on the refugee resettlement program. So I was grateful for the time we were able to spend with that. And again, that presentation will be online. That ends my report, so I'm going to look to my left. County Administrator, any updates?
Commissioners, I just want to provide one update. Michael Thompson, our assessor, was advised a while back that they were looking at increasing our values on our ag lands 20 to 30%.
Wow.
And it wasn't the counties adjacent to us, it was really just in Scott County. And he took a look at the data and he actually filed an appeal. And he was successful in appealing that, and they are not going to move that forward. Now, there still will be maybe some upward movement in the areas that aren't 1/40, that aren't necessarily just ag land. But I think he did a really good thing with his relationship with the DOR and his use of data, as well as representing our ag owners in having a real honest discussion on those values, and I think protecting what the real values are for those properties. So, to Michael, a job really well done there.
Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, when you say they were going to, you're talking about the Department of Revenue was going to unilaterally do this to us?
Correct, somewhere between a 20 and 30% increase on our ag lands.
Thank you for the clarification.
So I think his use of data and his understanding was a really good thing, and also the fact that he's so well respected and has a good relationship at DOR, I think is a good thing. And then finally, just a reminder that we will be closed on February 17th for the President's holiday.
Thank you very much. Looking to my right, Jeannie, any?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, nothing to discuss today.
All right, thank you very much. And now we're moving on. Oh, you know what? I need to put a little footnote in on the 3rd, yesterday. How did I forget? I just wanted to reiterate, I too was at the Prior Lake Workshop in City Council, and I know we kind of know this is coming, but as Commissioner Wolf had mentioned, a big part of that was the discussion on 21 and Revere and some commercial development and their desire to have an intersection with a light or an intersection with no light for the near term. I know that's all sort of semi-old news for us, but just to put that on the table, we need to kind of talk through that, which I know we will do. And with that, we're going to move to item number 10. And I think we have to gavel out. I'm looking at Deb. Gavel out and do a little recess. We're going to recess for to conduct a closed board meeting to evaluate the performance of County Administrator Leslie Vermillion. So with that, the board is in recess.
We have to say the pledge again since it's after, it's not.
As long as we get done before noon, we're good.
We are reconvening the Scott County Board of Commissioners. We have just left conducting a closed meeting to evaluate the performance of County Administrator Leslie Vermillion, which leads us to item number 11 on the agenda. Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned.